guys, I'm Sarah and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the part 2 of the Know the Novel rating questionnaire link up from Christine Smith's blog. I will leave a link down to her blog below if you want to check out her posts and see what she's been working on for NaNoWriMo and what other people have been working on. And it's a really fun question answer tag that I did a few weeks ago for the first part for my NaNoWriMo novel BFA, which is the first 3 letters of the title, because as I don't feel comfortable giving the title yet. Anyways, I thought I'd do the part 2 of the questions, which is for the work in progress. It's basically about the writing process and everything and how it's been going so far. And I also apologize if you can hear my grandma's TV in the background. She's, yeah. It's kind of loud and our house is very well with acoustics. Okay, so yeah, I think we'll just jump right in. Let's see. First question is, how's the writing going overall? Pretty well actually, which is surprising considering this book has been giving me issues and fits since March, I believe is when I started it. I started it last year sometime, but it wasn't working. And then I tried to do it earlier this year, and that still wasn't working, so I quit until now to try to keep doing it. So, yeah, it's actually going well, which is surprisingly weird. I've expected it to be way harder than it has turned out to be. But yeah, I've had a few sticky days of where I'm not sure where to write. I ended up deleting a bunch of stuff and then putting it right back in, which was a little weird because I put it all, literally pretty much 90% if not all of it back in, which is kind of annoying. It's like I would just start writing something and I'd be like, oh, this actually doesn't work after all, this doesn't make sense, or these characters wouldn't do that, so why am I putting it in? I'll just put back what was there originally. So I could have saved myself a lot of time leaving it that way, but I did modify some of the stuff, and yeah, I think it sounds way better now than it used to. So, let's see. Question 2, what's been the most fun aspect about writing this novel so far? Being able to write it. Actually being able to write it and actually enjoying the process. Yeah, I've actually enjoyed it, which is a little weird because it was really frustrating me at first, and certain areas are still kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing, this is very sticky, but I have discovered that I actually kind of like writing it now, which is really bizarre because I hated it at the beginning of the year. I literally would avoid it if possible. But yeah, apparently now is just the time for me to write it, and it's working out great. So, fun aspect. Probably being with all these characters again, because a lot of the characters I have not written about. I didn't write about some of them in book 2. I also have new characters coming, which I'm not fully certain on them yet, but yeah, and basically the most fun aspect is being able to write it and like enjoying it, which is like super weird at this point in my life with this book. Let's see. In question 3, what do you think of your characters at this point? Who's your favorite to write about? Oh, what do I think of my characters? Well, considering this is the 3rd book in my series, my characters have been with me forever. I've been writing their story, this trilogy, since 2019, I believe, April of 2019? No, it was earlier than that, wasn't it? It was either April of 2018 or 19 when I started writing this series, the 1st book. I've been working on it ever since. Mainly the last couple of years I've been working on 1 and 2, 2 mostly writing and 1 editing and stuff. Yeah. So these characters have been with me through a lot, and life issues and writing issues and just everything, and just, yeah, I am very attached to these characters, which is kind of, I think, part of my reason for not being able to necessarily write very well at first, because, you know, when I first started writing this book, because it's like, this is the end of their story, and I guess a part of me wasn't ready yet for it, and sorry about that text. Anyways, yeah, and it was just, I don't know. I think it was just, I've just been with them so long, they're just a part of me. So, like, if I don't write them correctly, I'm like, these characters would never react this way. And it's like, I can fix them and do that. Most do that very easily. Sorry, I didn't finish that. Who's my favorite to write about? Oh, I pretty much work from 2 point of views, mostly. Vienna and Flynn, my 2 main characters. Pretty much the entire story through all 3 books are told through them. The second book and this book, I do have brief point of view from one of my antagonists, but pretty much it's just Vienna and Flynn, and I love writing them equally. I would probably say sometimes I enjoy writing Flynn a bit more, but it's very rare. It's usually he's just involved in more of the action side of things, and I really like writing action scenes, so that's usually why. But no, I enjoy writing both of them. They are both such a huge part of me that it's just like I cannot write in these 2. It's just like, it's impossible. It's like I know what they would do, even if, you know, it doesn't work. Initially, like if I can't write it in a rough draft initially, I know in hindsight later, like when I'm editing and stuff, oh, they wouldn't do this, they would do this, that sort of thing. So yes, these characters are huge part of me, and I love them both dearly. I love all my side characters too. Some of them are a little more tricky to figure out, especially if they're brand new, because I'm like trying to develop their personalities and stuff. Like I have a few new characters in this book that are kind of minor characters that are kind of like, I don't quite know you guys yet, so you're kind of flat for now, but I will figure them out later and their story arcs and stuff, and just, yeah, build on it from there, especially if they were in a previous book, because which some of them are. I introduced them in like either book 1 or 2, and they were like brief, but I can take the personalities from there and build off of it for here, so that's just a little more research and editing later. That was a very long answer to this question. Let's move on to the next one. Question 4 is, has your novel surprised you in any way? I can write it. That's a huge surprise. That is a very large surprise that I'm actually able to write this thing, aside from a few off days. It's very odd. Surprised me in any way. A couple of the plot points that I was thinking about adding in have changed slightly. I haven't written those yet. Actually, I have written one of them. I just wrote one of them yesterday that I wasn't expecting on putting in there, but I have. But a few plot aspects have kind of shifted a bit. Not really has surprised me in any way. Mostly I'm working with material I already have, or I'm working with vague ideas. Mostly it's little tiny things like conversations don't turn out the way I originally envisioned them, or a slight plot change. Like, I know I have a plot point later on in the story where originally I was going to have somebody be kidnapped. This time I have changed it to the characters are actually going to actively go to this place instead of being kidnapped and being taken there. So they're more of an active role in the story as opposed to just things happening to them. So I think that will work out better, and it gives the characters more agency of, I am actively going to do this thing as opposed to this is just happening. So yeah, there is that. So I guess that's pretty much the only surprise I have. Question 5 is, have you come across any problem areas? Some of my scenes are pretty flat. There's one particular chase escape scene. I was just telling my mom about this earlier today. It was like, literally, it's just kind of like, oh, we need to run. Here's this, here's that. A couple characters have died. Bye. We're done. It's like the lamest thing ever, and I was looking over it yesterday or something like that, and I was just kind of like, this is lame. Like, literally, I don't even know where half the characters are in this scene. So that's gonna need some fixing in the editing process, because right now it's just a total mess, and it totally makes no sense, and it's bland as anything. But I just needed to get the characters from point A to point B, because I hadn't planned out that confrontation in my head, so I was kind of like, I don't really know what's going on here. I don't even really know what it looks like or where all the characters are or anything like that, and it's just, yeah, it's not really working, so I need to fix it up later. So yeah, there's that. There's been a few areas where like certain conversations is literally like there's no like action beats at all. It's just like he said, she said, he asked, she asked, they asked, they said. It's just like it's really boring, but I just need to get conversation out, so I'll just add that stuff later. But yeah, currently right now this thing is a giant skeleton without anything else on it. It's pretty bland, and I mean certain aspects I like and have come out, and yeah, but pretty much problem areas. I doubted one day that my stuff was writing well or sounding any good, which is a common problem for writers, especially for me. And yeah, I had a couple days where the words were really, really hard to get out, but other than that, not too many problem areas actually, which is, again, very surprising for this book, because this book has literally been the bane of my existence since I started writing it. Okay. Okay, question 6. What's been your biggest victory with writing this novel at this point? Writing it. That is my biggest victory. Doing it pretty much every day. I usually take 1 or 2 days off because like life issues, or I have to do things that take up pretty much most of my day, and it's like I only have an hour left before I have to do something in the day, and it's just like there's no point. But yeah, for the most part, I've been able to write nearly every day, and that is really crazy weird. I haven't been able to do that in a long time, especially with a rough draft. Actually, I haven't even worked on a rough draft since I finished book 2. No, that's incorrect. I did work on a rough draft for NaNoWriMo 19, 20? I don't remember when it was, but I did do a very, very rough draft with a different story. Anyways, this story, biggest victory, is basically writing the thing. And actually getting it on paper and having it work for the most part. I mean, yeah, there's certain areas I need to add things in, flesh out things, change things, but yeah, for the most part, it's working, which is super, super weird at this point. Okay, question 7. If you were transported into your novel and became any one of the characters, which one do you think you'd be? Would you take any different actions than they have? As what character would I be? I would probably be Vienna. Actually, she and I are very, very close in personality. Actually, we're pretty much almost the same. Which I know a lot of authors are told, you know, don't write yourself into a story, which I didn't, because Vienna does do things or say things that I wouldn't necessarily do. Would you take any different actions than they have? Let's see, Vienna's pretty much a Spitfire. She, knows definitely her mind and her opinions and what she will and will not do. I'm not sure if I would be as certain as she is sometimes. Sometimes she's not certain, and she's just kind of plunging in because it's like, well, it's the only option we got, so we got to do something. I have to do something, so we're just going with this. But she is getting more sure of herself as the series goes on, so I'm not sure if I'd be as certain as she is, especially with like taking on more like responsibility, leadership type roles. I would not be very certain in that at all. Yeah, unless really, really pressed, then I would have to be really, really pressed to be able to take the leads and the lengths that she does. Question 8. Give us the first sentence or paragraph, then 2 or 3 more favorite snippets. Okay, let's see, I have a few written down here. Obviously, the first sentence of the story is obviously what I previously wrote back in March. So this is not something I have recently written. It is something I previously wrote months ago at the beginning of this year. So anyways, I'm going to read that for you. And also, all of these are subject to change, like, honestly, especially this one. Okay. The jewel... Sorry about the dog. Okay. The jewel mines were deserted. Dark horizontal squares gaped upon Vienna from their lofty, craggy perches in the mountainside. Keisha and Flynn on either side of her. Sir Gavin's army fanned throughout the trees, every single one of them having weapons drawn as they hid in the forest on the edge of the mines. That's the first line, of course, is the jewel mines were deserted. The rest of it's just kind of the rest of the paragraph. But, yeah, that's the first line, and I don't know if it's gonna stay that way or not, but that's what we have. Okay, the other few ones, very sorry about the dog, but there's no way she's gonna shut up even if I tell her to. I could try, but it probably won't work. Okay, she seems to be done. Okay, the second one I have here is, the rest of these, I have 3 others. These are all ones I have currently, not currently, but wrote within this month. So, okay. Snippet 2 is, thunder cracked in a deafening roar, overshadowing his footsteps as he climbed the last few stairs, a streak of lightning racing across the glass of the window opposite him to strike a blinding white line across the floor and wall before vanishing with a snap of electric danger. He marched down the hall, slamming open every door to more lightning and raging rain, the storm picking up speed and rage outside, while a storm rolled within him, a storm he couldn't name and wasn't about to identify further. That one does not have a name because this is from my antagonist, one of my antagonist's point of views, and I'm not revealing his name because that would be a spoiler. So, okay, snippet 3 is, actually, yeah, that would be number 3. Whatever, sorry. Vienna exchanged a look with Keisha, both hesitant to move forward into the darkness, their apprehension swirling and mixing together into a knot in Vienna's stomach. They stepped further in, careful not to step on the books and various parchments to not make any further noise. Lightning flashed again, a crack of thunder booming in the silent room. This one I picked, it's not as suspenseful as one of the previous paragraphs, which was very, very long. But this one I wanted to put in because I really like how I put in the showing Vienna's empath abilities in the apprehension swirling mixing together in her, a knot into her stomach as she's feeling hers and Keisha's emotions. So yeah, hopefully that's suspenseful. Then the 4th and last one is ready to die, George asked, the manic gleam growing brighter, more feverish in his eyes. Not particularly, no. Flynn gripped Adelaide in one arm tight to his chest and drew his sword with the other. I like the dialogue piece there, so that's why I chose that one. Okay, the next question is, question 9 is, share an interesting tidbit about the writing process so far. For example, have you made any hilarious typos, derailed from your outline, killed off a character, changed projects entirely, anything you want to share? Okay, I did make a very interesting typo, which is ironically back from March, but I was fixing up the scene. This was one of the scenes that I deleted and put back in. Yeah, and the typo is, it's like, I looked at it, I'm like, I left this in there since March, and I didn't realize it was there. This is pathetic. The typo is, Vienna bolted through first, heedless of the branches. It's supposed to be heedless. Unfortunately, apparently, when they were bolting through this hedge, they lost their heads. So, that's a problem. I have sadly, a few characters have died. This is a war story. So, one character, I don't care that he died. He was an antagonist anyways, so, oh well, for him. A couple others I did care about. I did particularly care about one of them, even though that scene really needs to be edited to be more emotional. So, yeah. Anyway, so yes, some characters have died. Nobody unexpectedly. Pretty much everybody I was planning on them dying in this war. That sounds horrible. Very sorry. But it's an author's bane of existence, especially if you're writing a war type story. And not everyone can live. Sorry. Question 10 is, take us on a tour of what a normal writing day for this novel looks like. Where do you write? What time of day? Alone or with others? Is a lot of coffee or some other drink consumed? Do you light candles, play music, get distracted by social media? Cough, cough. Tell all. Yes, Christine, I know you have a problem getting distracted by social media. You've mentioned it before. I don't really have that problem. Mainly because aside from YouTube, I'm not on social media. Goodreads is about the only other one. So that's probably why. Let's see, normal writing day. Where do I write? Okay. I actually write right here on the floor. Actually, I can turn the camera, show you. I write here. I sit on the floor here. I use that pillow sitting there, up there. I put it on my back and I just lean against the bed and I pretty much just type on the floor. I have a laptop, so that makes it pretty easy. And I just sit there and I write. So, let's put that back. There we go. Yeah, so that's pretty much where I write. I have a outlet here so I can plug it in because my computer's very old, so I need to keep it plugged in to keep it alive. And let's see, what time of day? I used to write in the morning. I typically write for around 2 hours a day because as like a farmer and stuff, and I have other tasks that I have to do throughout the day, so it's easier to do it just in like 2 chunks of time, like 2 hours a day or something like that, which is generally what I've aimed for. So I used to write really well in the morning, but apparently recently my brain has switched to writing better in the afternoon, like as of a couple days ago, which is really strange. It's like, okay, we're doing this now? Apparently we're doing this now. So, yeah, now for the last couple days I've been writing in the afternoon, doing really well, so, afternoons are a little trickier with like the light, with the sun going down earlier and me having to feed at a certain time, feed all the animals, so yeah, it's a little more difficult to do that and balance it with everything else, but whatever works to write this book and do what I need to do. I, alone or with others? I write alone. I don't write around others mostly because, my family can be pretty noisy, so, and I find it distracting, so I just basically just stay in my room and try to write to the best of my ability because, it's just easier. I do play music. I typically wear just anything, either it's the stories playlist or just anything else, whatever suits my mood at the time. So yeah, generally speaking for this one, I have worn music every day to write, except for one. I think initially I didn't have music on, but then I found I focused better. Some days I do. Some books, like the last rough draft with the other story that I mentioned earlier, that one I didn't listen to any music. That was distracting. So it just depends on my mood at the time. I do not drink coffee or anything else. I don't drink coffee. I hate coffee. Sorry. To all the coffee lovers out there, I like tea. But I don't drink or eat or anything like that when I'm writing. Old computer for one, weird location for another, nowhere to put a, coffee thing here or anything. And I just find it distracting. So, if I need to eat or drink or something, I just do it later. Do I like candles? No, I do not. Pretty much, yeah, I don't really have any candles. The closest I have are these fairy lights I have on my bookcase, but I don't remember to turn them on, so yeah, I just don't bother. Okay, yeah, and that was the last question. So, okay, this is a pretty long video. So, I hope you enjoyed this look into writing my NaNoWriMo novel, BFA. I will be continuing to write it into December, so if you guys would be interested in like more writing update videos periodically, like maybe a couple times a month or something, let me know down below in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And what do you think of my work so far? Do you think the snippets were interesting, or just anything you want to talk about, anything you want to ask? I won't necessarily answer questions, if they're too spoilery, but yeah, feel free to leave questions or comments or anything below. And yes, I will continue writing this book, probably into I'm not even at the halfway point yet. It's probably going to take me a while. I would say, best case scenario, I'll probably finish this rough draft January or February of next year. Yeah, that's the best case scenario. Worst case, who knows? Yeah, that's a very long process, but it's typical, and I'm just trying to get in the habit of writing every day and getting it done. So, yeah. So, as long as it needs to take, I'm okay with it. And I mean, it's not like I'm publishing anytime soon. The first one isn't even published, so pretty unrealistic to want to publish a third one. Alright. Okay. So I will go, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And yeah, like and subscribe if you're into that, and I will see you again next time. Bye!